Hello and good morning, Susan.
Hello.
How are you? Oh, how are you today?
I'm great, thank you. How are you?
Absolutely fantastic and very excited to share a conversation with you because I see this book, Discovering Magic in Everyday Life, as being an open door. I mean, for believers, for non-believers, those in question, those seeking, it's such an open door.
Oh, I so appreciate that. That's what I was hoping it would feel like to people.
When you release words like this onto a page, because I truly believe that a seed becomes the tree becomes the paper we use, and then that becomes books. Part of your journey on this was to reach people. What did you experience on your side of the journey?
Well, a lot of ups and downs, because we're living through a very chaotic and difficult time. But what I experienced is that so many people from so many different traditions have a whole lot in common. And that if we can focus on what we have in common first, then we're better able to talk about the differences with more understanding and more empathy. And I don't mean this to sound woo-woo. Of course, we've got a lot of differences, and of course, there are a lot of problems in the world. But there's also an awful lot of good.
One of the things that you cover is the children and what they're going through, and we have to have more empathy for them, because even with my own grandchildren, I don't understand why they stress out so much. But you're right. What is the common thing? We all stress out. Let's talk about it.
That's right. Well, stress is contagious, right?
Oh.
So if the parents are stressed out, if the teachers are stressed out, if their caregivers are stressed out, their stress, the adult stress, is contagious, and the kids just soak it up. So we have to be aware of what the effect of our own actions and relationships, which is why it's so important that adults really practice stabilizing themselves, regulating themselves, and focusing not just on the bad stuff, but also on the good.
And you give us 50 practical tools. I mean, this is one of those things where I would like to sit down with my family as well as my grandchildren, and we each have our own interpretation of it, and let's talk about it. But I love the fact that you are so honest with us with these practical tools.
Well, thank you. Everybody resonates with something different. Some people want something that moves. Some people are introverts, some people are extroverts. So what I hope with this book is people can page through it, see what lands with them, and try that first. And then once they have that experience, then they get a taste of the benefits of this kind of inner work, and then they can go further and more deep.
Emotional balance is really on the hot stove right now, because people don't understand how to find a place of balance. And you really open up the door on that one.
Yeah, we just don't know. I wish as a young mom I had known more about how the nervous system works. And so just teaching people not to beat up themselves because their nervous systems go on high alert. And when our nervous systems are on high alert, our perspectives narrow, our energy is focused into our bodies so that we can fight or we can flee or we freeze. And when we ground ourselves with awareness-based strategies, then our perspective can broaden. And as our perspective broadens, we get to see all the different sides of a story and view what's happening with some kindness and compassion.
Is it wrong of me to have conversations with people when they sit there and they celebrate their victories in life, and then I go up to them and I'll go, so are you grateful? And what are you grateful for? And then I'll come back with, but are you mindful of what you've just celebrated in victory?
Yeah, I think that those are excellent questions, right? Because appreciation is a huge practice, and it's scientifically shown to have a big difference in people's lives. And it's a great grounding strategy, as far as regulating. So appreciation is key. And also awareness is key, which is what we're talking about with mindfulness. Awareness and appreciation, those are two things that are real game changers.
The book we're talking about is Discovering Magic in Everyday Life. Something is happening when it comes to these VR goggles that people, they get them for games and things. I happen to pick up one that went to an app that's called Float, and they're using it for meditation. But I do wonder, Susan, is that when we see things visually like that in the digital devices, are we not injuring our mind? Shouldn't it be a cleared mind and a cleared heart?
Well, I think it's tough to clear things because whatever is in there, it's hard to get rid of things. But we can have an open mind and an open heart that allows for the full catastrophe and still can take in the good. And I think that that's the key. I think all of the electronic devices, they might have a place as a tool that is useful, but it doesn't replace learning how to just really take a moment and take a look around you and really focus on something that captures your attention and lets everything seem a whole lot bigger and grander than our own problems.
I would love to be a fly on the wall when it comes to readers discovering something that you plant inside these pages, and that is the natural movement of your mind. So many people do not understand that your mind is always in movement.
It is always moving, and if we try to stop it, it tends just to move more, just like a young child. But what we can do is we can become aware of the movement and then move our attention to something else. Something like the feeling of our feet on the ground or a beautiful flower in the garden or, the laughter of the children around us. And that helps us broaden our perspective again.
That is so interesting you say that, because I'll bring that up to many people. I'll go, so when you put your camera up in the air to take a picture, do you get the entire environment? And they go, no. So does your body. Your body doesn't get everything unless you're willing to accept all living things and everything that's in contact with your body.
That's right. And to see how they're all connected, right? How we're all connected to one another.
Yes. Yeah. Why is it people fear that word enlightenment? Right away they think, oh, that's a religious thing. I'm not going there. But it's not. It is about the whole self.
It is. It's about the whole self, and enlightenment is available to everyone. Real world enlightenment is available to everyone all the time. I think it has developed a certain connotation that makes people think that they have to go off and meditate on a mountaintop for years at a time. And I think that's great. I certainly spend an awful lot of time meditating.
Yes.
But the point of meditating like that is to take what you learn on the cushion off and bring it into real life. And how many people do you know who have done a lot of meditation who have been unable to make that transition? So if we can take short moments of awareness, drop them in throughout our day, I think people will see a big difference in how their life feels and the ripple effect of that on the people around them.
Wouldn't you also say that we should learn to trust our stream thinking? In other words, our moment of now. Trust it. Don't challenge it.
Yeah, and listen to it.
Yes.
We need to listen to ourselves and be kind to ourselves. We're also hard on ourselves.
Judgment. There's always got to be judgment somewhere coming from this body.
That's right. That's right. And that's just, we can accept that. That's a natural part of the way we're wired. But just because our inner critic is saying something doesn't mean it's true.
Does this book come with a website? Because people are going to come through this book. And first of all, I invite listeners to grab a yellow highlighter and highlight the areas that really step inside your heart. And then is there some place where they can go to start activating it? Because this is a book of activation.
Well, thank you. My website, susankaisergreenland.com, has lots and lots of videos and audios and downloads, and there's a newsletter that's practice-based that will reinforce this type of work. And that's very, very helpful. It's helpful to have a community of people.
I also want listeners to know that when it comes to meditating, yes, there's a big chance you're going to fall asleep. How do you help someone embrace that? Is there a question that you ask them?
I bet you were tired and could use the sleep. So no reason to beat yourself up when you fall asleep. I mean, people who have meditated for decades fall asleep. And no reason to beat yourself up if just that day you can't sit still because there's too much going on. The point is just setting the intention and going back and doing the best you can, a little bit at a time, over and over again, and you'll see the results.
You got to come back to this show anytime in the future, Susan. The door is always going to be open for you.
Thank you. I so appreciate that.
Well, you be brilliant today, okay?
Thank you. You too. I thank you very much.